This is a presentation of BSRN, Box Studios Radio Network. The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here is your host of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for January 20th, 2025. This is season 14, episode number 36, and episode number 475. We are only 25 away from 500 episodes of the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everybody. I am your host, Bob Howard. Thank you very much for listening. I know we're a day late than normal. Usually this comes up at some point on Sunday, and you're usually listening to it through on Monday. But here we are, Monday evening, and we are recording an episode of the Power Play Post Show. 3 games in 3 nights, and you know what, guys? I'm tired sometimes. You know, we get to Sunday, and there's 3 games. That means there was 3 game day previews. There was the 3 game day threads. There was the final score graphics. And by the time 8 o'clock came around on Sunday, I was probably as exhausted as all of you, and maybe almost as exhausted as the players were. I'm sure that's probably just a fallacy. In some sense, they were probably more tired than I was. But, yeah, so it's a lot to do. So I decided to kind of put things together and talk about things today. And, you know, I kind of paid attention to the Reading Royals game to see and hear CJ Stubbs and Tyson Kirkby, you know, obviously playing for the Reading Royals in the ECHL. I did a little bit of research on all the Fed teams that have sent guys to the ECHL, and of course, Connor McCollum was an e-bug for Hartford up in the AHL, just to kind of see where the league has gone and how far they've come to get some of these ECHL call-ups. And I've talked about this many times. Now, of course, Binghamton is in that special category, right? They have a great head coach, Brant Sherwood, who every time I talk about him, I think his head gets a little bit bigger. He's probably going, yes, Bob, yes, just feed me some more for my ego. And I joke about it, but it's true. The relationships that Brant has definitely cultivated in the ECHL is important. And he's also cultivated some relationships in the SPHL as well. And obviously players still think that the SPHL isn't a lateral move, but is another stepping stone, right? And part of that reason is that ECHL head coaches are all mostly looking at the SPHL, and they're not looking enough at the Fed to see certain players that can be there. Now, of course, Athens and Binghamton are a little bit different. Again, Brant has cultivated those relationships, and Athens is basically owned by an ownership group that owns 2 or 3 ECHL teams, so it makes sense, right? Columbus saw a player loaned, I think it was William Lalaviere. He was loaned to Cincinnati on January 10th. I'm not sure if that was just an emergency situation. You know, the hat tricks have had Jackson Friedman obviously called up to Orlando a couple times. And Watertown actually saw Dakota Seaman loaned to the Allen. But that was in August, so I can't imagine that was too real. And I don't believe he's playing with Allen right now as well. Mississippi, a couple call-ups to Allen and Lake Tahoe. To Tahoe. So, again, it's happened. But the Black Bears have had 4 legitimate call-ups, and everybody's played a game, right? Tyson Kirkby played for the Adirondack Thunder. He played 1 game. He was called up on the 29th of November. Donald Oliveri played the game in Reading, on 12/13. And then, of course, Tyson's been up there. He's played 4 games now, and CJ Stubbs got the game earlier today. And all this is important. It's important to Brant Sherwood in his career, right? Because if you prepare players to move up and they play in the ECHL, and then he goes to the ECHL and he's coaching players and they get called up to the AHL, all this is a good thing for Brant in his career. But it's also a very important thing for Binghamton hockey and for the players that play on the Black Bears. And I want to talk about this in the sense that we have been, for many, many years, an AHL city. And what do AHL cities do all through across North America? They prepare players to go and play in the NHL. And this can be the same. This can be a place where players come and play and get ready and prepared to play in the Coast League, right? It's still important to have players. The Coast needs players, right? When the AHL draws from them because the NHL is drawing from them, they're going to draw from the ECHL, and then the ECHL has to pull from somewhere. Why does it always have to be the same players from the same 10 SPHL teams? Well, it doesn't have to now. And that's the whole point here, right? Athens and Steve Martinson can get players ready for the ECHL and more than likely for the ECHL teams that are there. You know, there's a new ECHL team coming into Greensboro, right? So why wouldn't Winston-Salem find a way to communicate and forge a relationship to get some of those guys to go up to the Greensboro Gargoyles when they start playing next season in Greensboro, right? It's important. I think it's a good thing. Why do they have to go an extra, 100 miles this way or 200 miles this way to get a player when the Carolina Thunderbirds have done a great job, recruiting players and bringing players in and having winning teams? They've done that over the last 4 or 5 years very successfully, and they should be able to do that as well. I think it's important for the league. I think it's important for the players who play in this league. And we don't know when Tyson Kirkby is coming back to Binghamton. We don't. And that's really up to Jason Brinkley, the head coach of the Reading Royals. It's up to the players who are injured up there that is giving Tyson this opportunity, which he 100% earned. And there's no doubt in my mind he deserves this type of call-up. But it's we don't know when he's going to come back. CJ Stubbs will probably come back when other players come back from injury. And while I was listening to the game today, and they did beat the Jacksonville Icemen, I believe it was 5-3 was the final score. There was another player that went down to an injury. Now, whether or not that person came back, I'm not sure. I was in the middle of trying to do other things, but I had the game in the background just to see if we heard, Tyson's name and or CJ Stubbs' name, and they did mention both guys on the broadcast. So we don't know when they're going to come back. They got this trip coming up to Mississippi, and I think they have enough players to win and still win. And it doesn't mean that we don't need Tyson. It doesn't mean we don't need CJ Stubbs right at the moment, but we can win without them. And that was 100% proof yesterday as they beat the HC Venom without some of their big players, right? Gavin Yates didn't go down and play in that game. Let's see here. Who else didn't play? Was it Josh Fletcher? And obviously Tyson wasn't there. So they can win games without these guys because this isn't a team that is about one person. It's not about just Tyson Kirkby. It's not about just, Gavin Yates or, CJ Stubbs for that matter, right? This is a team that can fill the holes when they need to. And again, I talk about this all the time. Bill Belichick built a system in New England, and he could plug in any player he wanted to and be successful until Tom Brady left. Because Tom Brady was a major part of that, but football is different than hockey, right? A star quarterback can make a difference within a team's performance. I think that can happen sometimes in hockey, and I think the New York Rangers have fallen down that trap way too many times with goaltenders, thinking, we have a great goaltender, we'll spend all of our money on a goaltender, we'll be fine. But the majority of the time, what you find out is when an NHL team wins, it's because great systems, and they have the shared wealth of talent amongst all of the players, and they all come together as a team, and they play as a team, and they stick up for each other. These are all things, and it's the culture in the locker room. And again, that is something that Coach Sherwood has put together and he's cultivated. Coach Sherwood doesn't want to be in the Fed for 3 or 4 years and not win. That would be counterintuitive to what he's trying to do. And, we cannot talk about the Black Bears without talking about the possibility of Brant Sherwood is going to eventually at some day say, Binghamton was a beautiful home. I loved being here. The fans are great. I was close to my family, but it's time for me to go, right? Because he has a career ahead of him. That could be next year. It could be the year after that. It could be in 3 years. Who knows? Right? But it's eventually going to happen. But while he's here, his mindset is, I got to do everything I can to help this team win, help these players, help this city, help this community win another championship because it benefits him in the long run. It's a simple science that I have always preached about when it came to when the American Hockey League was here. If you breed winners within your organization, and I don't mean at the NHL level, I mean at the AHL and the ECHL level, if you breed winners, those remnants, which are the players that go from one level to the next level to the next level, because they've won somewhere within your organization, you're breeding the ability to have people who can win you a championship at the highest level, right? So that's important. And I hate the fact that people used to say, oh, well, we're the AHL, so we're just here to develop players for the NHL, and that's it. Well, then don't play for the Calder Cup, my friends. Don't even talk about it. Don't even make the playoffs. And why do you have playoffs? So that's why I'm not worried about Tyson Kirkby not coming back. It's part of the game. It's something that I've been used to for a long time. However, on the flip side of that, I don't want to root for a team that's below 500 and only cares about, oh, well, we notched another one in the ECHL belt because we got them up there. No, I want a winner. I've always wanted a winner. And we have the right combination of people right here in Binghamton right now that is going to provide us that or is providing us that. We won last year with a great combination of players. Liam Anderson was a great defenseman. He was a good defenseman, right? He didn't even make the playoffs. He couldn't even be on the playoffs because of how good this team was. He's over there playing overseas right now. This is a kid who could come back to the Fed at some point and play with any Fed team, and he's going to be good. He's got great skating ability. That's just an example, So Brendan Stanko was here for, 13, 14 games last year? It went up to the SP and excelled there. These are all guys that Brant Sherwood specifically brought in because he knew. And you can only have a certain amount of people on the team, right? It's like 18, 19 players, and then a couple, PTOs at the same time, whatever. And it's amazing because the what he's done here. I mean, Nick Stuckless is doing great in Blue Ridge. You have Brody Thornton, who's already gone, some look-sees by the SP. He's doing great. Andrew Utoro is doing good for Blue Ridge. There are guys who were here who are not here, not because they sucked, but because there's so much rich talent here in Binghamton. And so now that's spread throughout the hockey world. And part of that is because of Sherwood. So I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit. I think the ECHL call-ups, this is a good thing. This is a great thing. I hope nobody is upset. I hope nobody's worried that this team is not going to be good. We're going to go play against a team that's won 5 games this year. Okay, for 3 games down in Mississippi. Even if the guys lose 1 game and they come back with 6 points instead of 9 points, no big deal. Guys, if you're listening to this, if any of you guys are listening to this, go down to Mississippi, Biloxi, enjoy yourself. Get some sun. By golly, a couple of you guys could use a little bit of raise and everything. So go down there, get some sun, enjoy yourself. Somebody, get Brooks Hill maybe a pair of sunglasses. He probably might need it. I don't want him to go blind down there because there's a lot of sun down there. Although he probably gets a little bit of sun when he's in North Carolina, but it's just not the same when you're on the Gulf Coast, right? That's a really nice place. Sherwood's been there before. Obviously, a few of the guys have played a few games down there as well. All right, let's get into this, and then I want to talk about what you guys all probably received a little bit today. I sent out an invite for another Power Play Post Show kind of entity that I want to talk about in just a little bit. But the Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcasts, and please subscribe. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook and search for the Power Play Post Show. We'll probably be adding something to that here pretty soon. Check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. And on this edition of the Power Play Post Show, we go 6 more questions with Khade Henry of the Binghamton Black Bears. All right, so before we get into the games and 6 more questions with Khade, some of you guys probably received an invite from me today on Facebook. And I just want to let you guys know it's all legit. Basically, what it's called is the PPPShow Bob. Right? And basically what that is, it's going to be something very similar to the Facebook group. However, it's just a page. And what's nice about this page is that I will share a lot of my photography and the Power Play Post Show, shows and information about the show on there. And then if you want to share it, you can share it from there. And what'll be really great about that is that, you'll be able to share it with no problems. I understand the group you can't share from it because that's a private group. A private group doesn't allow you to share it because of the security and the security of the users, right? So it's protecting the identity of the people who are in the group. But on the page, if you see something that you want to share, please share, because sharing it does really help the Power Play Post Show. It helps Bob Howard Photography just get out there and be known. I would love it if some of the players could share some of the stuff, but I understand, that's a little bit different. There's a paid photographer for the Binghamton Black Bears, and I have a feeling they probably don't want them sharing some of my stuff because of he is a paid photographer. So, but if the fans, definitely please share the stuff from the PPP Show Bob, Facebook group or Facebook page. It's going to be all about my photography and, of course, the Power Play Post Show. All right, so let's get into this because we've got 3 games to talk about and a few other topics I want to talk about afterwards. The Black Bears take all 9 points in 3 games in 3 nights this weekend, taking 2 games versus the Watertown Wolves and the Sunday game against the HC Venom. All right, so let's talk about these first 2 Watertown games first. Black Bears win on Friday night by the score of 6-3. In the first period, the Wolves' Trevor Newman, in deep in front of the Black Bears netminder Connor McAnanama, scored the game's first goal just 1:38 into the first period, with Ian Erdman in the penalty box for hooking the Don father. Don Oliveri scored his 12th goal of the season, knotting this game at 1 goal apiece. Austin Thompson scored his 18th of the season with just 18 seconds left to go in the period to make this a 2-1 game after the first period. Okay, so first period notes. Questionable call on Cam Cervoni on the high stick. He hit the Wolf in the chest. I mean, this is just so blatant, it's not even funny. And the Wolves player knocked his head back. The referees felt for it 100%. So this is one of those situations where if you were a fan and you were complaining about a call, I can completely understand why you complain about it, and I would totally 100% agree with you. Normally, I do not stick up for fans who pick on the referees because referees don't win or lose hockey games. Players do. But, and you know me, I'm on the player side for everything. Even the opposing players, a lot of times I'm on their side. But in this case, the referee totally screwed that up. The Black Bears' first goal of the game was scored by Don Oliveri, his 8th power play goal of the season at that point. This was not your normal Black Bears first period, a little slow. The Wolves controlled a lot of the pace of the game in the first period, and it was not your normal heavy shot total for the Black Bears. We'll talk about that in a few seconds. There was a couple shots other than the goal that got past Connor McAnanama as well. So in other words, Connor wasn't really into the zone in his game, I don't think, in that first period. There were a few shots that when they went, they might have hit him in the shoulder and then popped up, and he went looking for it. It's always a little concerning when a goaltender, in my eyes, is not tracking the puck well, and you can tell because they start looking behind them for the puck when they have to make a save or when they're making the save or just after the save. To me, this was something we needed to watch out for in the second and third periods. Connor hasn't had many easy saves in the period. I really think he had to work for a lot of them. And I'm not picking on Connor. He's been phenomenal all season, but it doesn't mean that, you cannot notice sometimes when maybe he's having sometimes tracking the puck is not easy. I'm telling you, it's just not easy. There were some unfortunate bounces and misses for the Black Bears in that period. I just don't think their passing was all that good. But again, this leads up to what Watertown did well, right? There are a couple things that Watertown did well in both games. They just didn't have the firepower to beat the Black Bears. And one of the things they did well was they got their sticks down. They forechecked really well, especially in the Saturday game. Getting the second goal late in the first period is obviously the high point for the Black Bears because they go into. Now, that goal that Austin Thompson scored, to me, was the most important goal of the game. I know people are probably wondering about that. I wrote about it in my day after game report, but when the game feels differently going into the first intermission if it's 1-1. Austin Thompson scores that goal, and the Black Bears can go in. They can correct a couple of the mistakes or a couple of the things that maybe are not going right, and they come out with a lot more confidence. And that's what happened. I mean, if you think about it, you go back, it was 18, I think it was with just 18 seconds left to go in the period. So 1942, he scores that goal. They go into that locker room feeling way differently. To me, we talked about the 3 stars of the game all weekend long. Players, fans didn't like Anton Bedorkin didn't get the 3rd star or the 2nd star of the game. And I disagree with our owner, Andreas Johansson, on whether it matters, because it does matter. It's about integrity. And when we talk about the Sunday game, when it comes to the power play goals not being counted towards the Black Bears stats, there's integrity to the game. And I think when we look at this, if the 3 stars of the game in every single league is just about home ice promotion, then do away with it. Just do away with it. Get rid of it completely. It's stupid. It used to be picked by the media. Nowadays, it's picked by either someone who works for the team or an off-ice official. And that's unfortunate. And it's unfortunate. I used to go to games as a media member, and I was handed a slip to do the 3 stars. That doesn't happen anymore. It doesn't happen anymore in Binghamton. Shots on goal in the first period for Binghamton was 10 and Watertown was 9. Again, 10 is a low number for Binghamton in a period, just in general. I keep track of the shots on goal, and I can tell you that's a low number for the Black Bears. It's still double digits, which is good. All right, in the second period, the Wolves' Joshua Tomasi was tagged for a 4-minute high sticking call as he got his stick up high on Dan Weber, which led to Don Oliveri to score his second power play goal of the game, giving the Black Bears a 3-1 lead at the 10:01 mark period of the second. So, And that, of course, is Don Oliveri's 9th power play goal of the season out of, 12 or 13. With 4:19 left to go in the period, C.J. Stubbs scored to keep his hot streak going, giving the Black Bears a 4-1 lead. With Gavin Yates serving the Black Bears' second penalty of the game. They only had their second penalty somewhere in that second period, and that was for slashing. Stephen Klink scored a pinball machine kind of game power play goal, making this a 4-2 game. But Zach Sirota, and I want to say something about Zach Sirota. And I'm hoping we're going to have him this upcoming week here on the Power Play Post Show. It's upcoming Thursday. Zach Sirota scores a lot of goals later in the game. Not in the beginning of the game, later in the game. I'm going to do some digging on that and find out before our next Power Play Post Show. But I believe he scores. Now, this one was in the second period. But he usually doesn't do it much in the first 30 minutes of the game. It's usually the second 30 minutes of the game. I like that. I like having a guy who can kind of be a closer like that, right? A guy who's going to give you a goal later in the game when you might need it. Or you need an insurance score or something like that. So I think that's pretty cool. That gave the Black Bears a 3-goal lead with just 2:11 left to go in the period. All right, the double minor high sticking call was an obvious one and easy for the referees. And Tomasi himself even went over to check on Weber. At least that's how I remember it. Don with 2 power play goals in the game. He's just so dangerous on the power play. With the help of a couple penalties and just some better connected passes, the Black Bears' second period just seemed to be more smooth and controlled more of the pace of the game. I think they were getting past the forechecking a little bit and the sticks being down and getting in the way. The passing was key on the fourth goal scored by CJ Stubbs. That was a tic-tac-toe passing before scoring on Bouchard's glove side. The Black Bears then gave up a power play goal to Stephen Klink after the puck was rebounded off the boards. If you watched this goal, it was pretty interesting because it bounced off the boards, came back out, and was just a perfect, easy tap in. It was like a wrist or a slap shot, which put Connor screaming back into position, but Klink's shot was too hot for C-Mac. So C-Mac had to come over east to west. West to east, really, to try to make that. But he got beat, and I think a lot of goaltenders, I don't care what level you are, you're going to miss those probably 5 out of 10 times. You probably got a 50% chance of getting over quick enough to get that. And it kind of beat him on his glove side too, right? So believe it or not, Klink actually took the long way to get that goal when he could have took a shorter way, but he didn't. But what about Zach Sirota? That goal was insane for the first-year rookie, just 8 seconds after the Klink goal. It's all about energy. That's what I love about this third line. They're all about energy and spirit. Even in their goal scoring, it's like holy crap, look at that. The Black Bears still dominated the period, especially with the amount of grade A chances. In my opinion, 10 grade A chances for the Black Bears. Shots on goal, 21 for Binghamton. Watertown had 8. Now Binghamton had a 31-17 lead. All right, third period. The Wolves get on the board first in the third period with a David Gaeta goal, 8:57 into the period, making this a 5-3 game. In a fluke bounce with like a 5:04 left to go in the period, Kyle Steffen scored the Black Bears' 6th goal of the game, keeping the lead, a 3-goal lead. The Black Bears get a late period power play to close out the game and earn their 24th win of the season. Third period notes. I went back and I watched the sequence where Austin Thompson and Carter Thornton got the roughing penalties because Tomer basically got cross-chest into the goalie. Then Bouchard basically held Thompson on top of his leg. It looked so perverted for me from the press box. It just did. Like he was like cuddling with Tomer. I don't know why. You have to see it from my view. It just looked weird. Now, someone brought up to my attention from the team that they didn't feel like Austin, he could have maybe kept himself up and not falling into Bouchard. And it was not somebody saying that Thompson did something dirty or whatever, or overly aggressive. It's just that, maybe he allowed himself to be cross-checked a little bit into there. Now, granted, Austin Thompson gets cross-checked like 40 times in a game. And that's a hell of a lot more than anybody else on the team. So we'll give them a break on that, but it was just an awkward sequence. If you just watch it, you're like, what is Bouchard doing? But it is what it is. Connor was pissed off after Watertown's third goal. He slammed a stick on the ice. I don't think this was a typical game for C-Mac. I think he really wanted to get back to one of those 1 and 2 goal games. I think he's had a really good season, and I just think that the last couple games he's been a little off. But I don't think I'm not saying that in a bad way at all. But I'm pretty sure C-Mac will get things rolling the way he does normally. Even when the Black Bears don't have their biggest period, it seems to be better than the opponents. And this is one of those periods. 2 sets of matching minors for roughing, which the Black Bears will take any day because they like the 4-on-4 and opens up the ice for them. Lots of bouncing pucks today, and it benefited the Black Bears on the Kyle Steffen goal. Without Tyson Kirby in the first period, I think the team was looking for its identity a little bit. It sounds weird, right? But then the last 40 minutes, they were the team that they know they are, right? And I think everybody stepped up and played their part very nicely. Lastly, the cut to Dan Weber face is a little gnarly when you look at it. When you look at him in the face, and man, he's playing very well, but is taking a beating. And by the way, he got 3 stitches. So count Dan Weber for 3 stitches so far. Shots on goal in the third period, 18 for Binghamton, Watertown for 11. Binghamton, again, 49 shots on goal. I mean, you're going to score goals and you're going to win. Watertown was 28. Okay, so not too bad so far. Okay, let's get into the second game. Black Bears win on Saturday by the score of 4-2. Okay, in the first period, the first period was scoreless for both teams, and the Black Bears getting the better chances in the first 20 minutes and the advantage in shots. All right, in the first period, through the first 6 minutes and 45 seconds, the Black Bears had the lead in shots 5-2. They were certainly getting better chances, but the Wolves were not allowing the shots and chances to go through. Okay, I think that, instead of what they had on shots on goal, they probably took another 10. I don't want to say 10, maybe 7 to 8 more shots that just didn't get through. There's an intensity to the game, but not overly physical at this point. Baratkin has been on his back and certainly has had to make some good saves already. Right at the 10-minute mark of the first period, the Black Bears had a flurry of shots on Baratkin. He is the reason the game is still scoreless. The call on Jesse Anderson at 12-17 mark was a good call by the referees, but you cannot blame Jesse as the Wolves had the edge on the play, and sometimes you want the penalty on a play like that. Overall, the Black Bears had the better chance, and I would say 7 to 9 quality chances, but Baratkin was solid between the pipes. Black Bears had 20 shots on goal. Watertown had 9. In the second period, with Gavin Yates in the sin bin for interference, the Wolves took advantage and scored the game's first goal off the stick of Trevor Newman at the 7:24 mark, giving the visiting Wolves a 1-0 lead. So, the end of and there's a stat that you guys don't know about, and hopefully people picked up on it, but this is the first time. So it took 30 games? I think, right? They played 31 games maybe. 30 games to be held scoreless in the first 2 periods consecutively. Has not happened until Saturday night's game against the Wolves. First time. I don't know what it was. I can't pinpoint it. I've mentioned a couple things, but they were just held off the score sheet. First time this year, more than half the games it took to get the Black Bears to not score. You got to give some credit to the Wolves. They played a good first 2 periods in that second game. The Black Bears are missing passes. Okay, fine. We'll call that. Missing the passes is sometimes because the other team is playing good with their sticks. Doing some blind passes, they did a couple of those in which the Wolves were catching up on. The rare Gavin Yates fight happened, and I loved how he was on his back and still yapping and smiling at Wolves' Andrew Whalen. It was kind of funny. I got some pictures of it. It's really funny. Unfortunately, the power play goal for the Wolves was because they pulled Eggy into a bad position, which allowed the Wolves an easier shot for the goal. It happened the night before with Bouchard and CMAC. The Black Bears are leading in shots on goal, but are struggling to get anything past Baratkin. It's honestly felt like the Black Bears lost their shot in the first 40 minutes. What I mean by that is you can have good shots on goal. You can have quality shots, but they're not necessarily your prototypical type of scoring shots. And it just seemed to be a little bit different. And they did not get the favorable bounces at all. The Black Bears had some great chances on the first part of the double minor, but however, Baratkin still would not budge. The Black Bears will have 2 minutes and 20 seconds of power play time left to start the third period. Shots on goal was Binghamton 14, Watertown 7, so they doubled them up again on shots on goal. Binghamton now with 34 and Watertown with 16. Then we get to the third period, and everything changed in this game. And I think we went into this third period not knowing how this game was going to go, right? What did Coach Sherwood say? Well, he probably said, go out there and play your effing game the way you know how to play it, right? Don't let the Wolves dictate the pace of the game. You go out there and dictate the pace of the game. The Black Bears score a shorthanded goal to tie the game with Scott Ramakers in the penalty box for holding, tying the game up 1 goal apiece at the 8:34 mark of the third period. Now, I'm going to guess. I'm just guessing here that they went into the intermission and someone said, "Hey, Let's just commit a couple penalties and score a shorty. We seem to be doing that well this year because they have. Because they have 11 freaking shorthanded goals now this season. So I know they didn't plan it that way, but it happened, and it happened again, right? The Black Bears then take the lead with another C.J. Stubbs goal. So C.J. Stubbs gets that goal. He gets the shorthanded goal, and then 4:06 left to go in the third period. Okay, so we're down in the last 5 minutes of the period, right? They tie the game up at the 8:34 mark. Right? Then you get down to the last 5 minutes. And you're thinking, oh, okay, here we go. So Stubbs gets another goal, second goal of the game, and we're tied 1-1. But then Carter Thornton brought the Wolves back into the game with the Wolves' second tally of the game, 2:43 left to go in the period, right? So now we're tied again. It's like, oh, crap, we're going to overtime. I got to change my box score and get the overtime part in there for the penalties, for the goals. And nope. Black Bears are too damn determined. They're going to win games differently all season long like they did last year. The Black Bears took the lead again off the stick of Josh Fletcher, who scored his first goal of the season at the 18:47 mark of the third period. Then Cameron Clark scored an insurance goal 15 seconds after the Fletcher tally, sealing the deal, sealing the 4-2 victory for the Black Bears and their 25th win of the season. They just do it different ways. It's just amazing. The Stubbs shorthanded goal was the Black Bears' 11th of the season, far in front of the league lead, and is Stubbs' second shorthanded goal in the last 4 games. Crazy. The Wolves' Carter Thornton goal was a 2-on-1 with Dion, the lone defender, and he did not take the path of the pass, so allowed the pass from Klink to Thornton to give Thornton the best opportunity, and he took advantage of it, and you can't blame Eggy on that one at all. That made the game tied at 2 apiece, and at this point, everyone in the arena thought this game would go into overtime except for the players on the Binghamton bench. I really, truly believe that they felt they had a way, even though they struggled all day to get goals in the net. I think they felt like they could do it. What a finish. The Black Bears are getting 2 more goals in 15 seconds apart from each other from Josh Fletcher, his first of the season, and Cameron giving the Bears Cameron Clark giving the Bears the insurance goal. And how many times this year have we seen the players score in bunches like that? And it happened a little bit last year, but I feel like it's happened a lot more this year. I really do think that their goaltender and the Wolves played a good game. I do. They had a good forecheck going for the first 50 minutes, and it worked. But then the Black Bears broke through, and it appeared as soon as they got the first goal shorthanded that this engaged the offensive abilities. They just changed. You could feel the difference in the arena, on the ice, in the last 10 minutes. You just could. Amazing and exciting end to the game with another sellout for the Binghamton fans. The Black Bears' 4th sellout of the season. And let's be honest, I mean, they're up over 4,100 now, average for fans. Guys, you're doing great. Keep going to the games. Jersey auction after the game. Team is leaving at 10 a.m., so they did, to go down to Poughkeepsie to play the game at the McCann Ice Arena versus the Venom at 3 p.m. Shots on goal in the period was 24 for Binghamton, which is not a surprise, right? Watertown 11. Binghamton had 58 shots on goal, and Watertown had 27. Again, they're doubling up the shots that they get on other teams in the majority of these games, and that is really making the difference. Okay, so before we get into the Venom game, and probably the one rant that I'm going to have, unfortunately, in today's broadcast, let's take a break. And when we come back, we're going to have our 6 more questions with Binghamton Black Bears forward Khade Henry. So we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
You're listening to the Power Play Post Show. Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. It's 6 more questions with Khade Henry. Khade, are you ready for these?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. All right, number 1, who is the greatest influence in your hockey playing career?
My favorite player growing up, I had a few, I'll be honest.
Okay.
For a while, it was Sidney Crosby. For a while, it was Ovechkin.
Mm-hmm.
For a while, it was Pavel Datsyuk. But honestly, I think I took different things from different players. I think growing up, I had my laces out and like my tongue out, just like Ovechkin. I would always try to do Pavel Datsyuk's signature shootout moves.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say a combination of different players. Obviously, I try to be like Crosby in the way he skates sometimes and his edges and works behind the net. So I won't say there was one particular. I would just think I took different parts of my game from different players.
Awesome. All right. Number 2, is there name one pregame ritual that you have to do before every game?
One pregame ritual that I have to do before every game. I don't have one.
Really?
I'm really easy. I don't have a single one. No, I don't. I kind of just, I guess now, ever since college to now, I take pre-workout right before warm-ups. I think that's the only consistent thing I do.
Explain pre-game workout. Explain what you do.
Pre-game workout is just a powder that has a lot of caffeine in it.
Oh.
And so I just, fill up my water bottle with that and then chug it right before warm-ups. And so I think that's my...
You do that on the road and at home too, right?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. All right, very cool. All right, number 3, vacation destination. Are you a beach guy, camping guy? Would you rather stay in like a staycation? What's your type of ideal vacation?
I've never really been on vacation, to be honest, but I plan on going to Ireland soon because, I have family out there I never met.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ireland, I guess. Obviously, I wouldn't mind going to a beach there.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Well, you guys will probably hit the beach in Mississippi, and everybody in Binghamton, while we're freezing, will be jealous of you guys. So, all right. Outside of hockey, I know we've talked a little bit about the MLB, but outside of hockey, do you prefer the MLB, NBA, NFL, MLS, PGA? What's your go-to sport outside of hockey that you like to watch or just kind of enjoy?
Definitely basketball. I play basketball all the time, and I always keep up with the NBA. I don't watch every game, but I always watch the highlight reels that come out every weekend.
Now you're 5'10". Can you dunk? You're 5'10". Can you dunk?
I cannot dunk. I can touch the rim though. I can't dunk though.
Well, I'm 6 foot. I can touch the rim, and every time I tried to dunk, I either busted up my thumb or just not good enough. When they say white man can't jump, oh no, they're talking about Bob. They're talking about me, without a doubt. I was always a good rebounder, but I don't think I dunked once ever in my playing career when I was in high school. So totally.
Maybe I can one day. I'm gonna work on it.
Well, you probably got stronger legs, powerful legs. I would imagine you might be able to. I mean, obviously, you probably can't do it during the hockey season because you get in trouble if you get injured. Yeah, so not a good idea. Okay, number 5. If you're picking a movie, would it be a comedy, a drama, sci-fi, romantic, or horror?
Oh, horror every day.
Really?
I'm a fan. I'm just a fan of films in general.
Sure.
I love the art of films. I love all types of movies. But when it comes down to nighttime, and I really want to get into a movie and really feel something, I'm going horror movie.
Okay, I got to ask 2 follow-up questions here. First of all, have you ever been to the Toronto Film Festival? It's one of the best in the world. Number 1.
I have not, unfortunately.
Gotcha. All right. Number 2, what is your favorite horror film then?
I like The Conjurings. I like the Insidiouses.
Very cool.
I don't think I have one. I just like random horror movies.
Gotcha. Have you watched Evil Dead?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not seen that one.
All right. You have to watch Evil Dead. There's 3 of them. There's Evil Dead. There's Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, and there is, oh my God, I can't think of the Army of Darkness. Army of Darkness is the number three film. These came out in the late 70s through the 80s. The same guy who did Spider-Man, Sam Raimi, actually wrote these with the guy who stars in it, Bruce Campbell. I'm telling you right now, just watch them. The first one is scary, / horror. The second one is funny, and the third one is hilarious. Okay,
I'll put on the watch list.
Yeah, you definitely have to watch them. Evil Dead. All right, and speaking of zombies, in a sense, number 6, a zombie apocalypse has broken out, and you're trapped in a hockey arena. Okay, who is the one person, dead or alive, fictional or non-fictional, and you can't pick Cam Clark, that you would like to have in the arena with you?
Oh, my dad.
Oh, your dad?
My dad, yeah.
Without a doubt. Okay, that was an easy.
Yeah.
Most people struggle with that one, trying to pick the right person. Explain to the fans why your dad.
I feel like me and my dad have watched so many horror movies growing up, zombies or whatever it is. We just know what to do.
What to do.
We'll watch a horror movie, and then we'll be like, they should have done this, we should have done that, blah, blah, blah. And I just feel like we're always on the same page.
So you guys already have a plan. You guys already have a plan. You've already figured out how to get out of the hockey arena and survive.
I'm sure we'll come up with it immediately and agree on it. So
I got to be honest with you. I've asked this question now for 2 years. I would just stay in the hockey arena, right? I'd figure out a way to block all the doors so people can't come in and just eat popcorn for the rest of my life. I
disagree. I'm going countryside, where I'm going places where there's very few people and it's very cold.
No, that's smart. That is smart. Honestly, that is very smart.
Put on the hockey gear so you can't get bit. Block all the vital organs. I'm telling you, me and my dad will figure this out.
No, I like that, and I got a bunch of hockey jerseys, so no zombies biting through some of those. I mean, there's some hockey jerseys that I don't think you could use a chainsaw on, right? You know, I mean, they're so thick and so well built. I'd be surprised if like a zombie could bite through a hockey jersey. Khade, thank you very much again. Good luck the rest of the season, and thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right. And we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. That was Khade Henry of the Binghamton Black Bears. 6 more questions with him. Thank you very much, Khade, for that. Let's talk a little bit about Sunday hockey. That's right. We got Sunday hockey for the Binghamton Black Bears. They complete the 3-game sweep with their 5th win against the HC Venom down in Poughkeepsie, New York. Now, of course, the first 2 wins came from the hands of the Watertown Wolves, or, we got them from the Wolves. But the Black Bears did complete the 3-game sweep, and that was their 5th win against the Venom. Now, in the first period, Emerson Emery started. Now, first of all, this game started 28 minutes late, but we'll get to that in the first period notes. Emerson Emery started off the scoring in this game, 5:55 mark of the first period, scoring his first goal of the season. Congratulations to Emerson for getting that first goal. Finally, I know everybody, it's like the monkey off the back type of thing. With the Venom's Marquise Grant Mentis in the penalty box for interference, the Black Bears get a power play goal from Dakota Bond to take a 2-0 lead with 5:38 left to go in the first period. Dakota Bond is so vicious on the power play and has finally got that mojo back in the last 3 or 4 weeks, which is great. In the first period, let's talk about some of this a little bit. There was a 20-minute delay to the start of the game as the off-ice officials were struggling to get into the FPHL's live stat program. So basically, it's an online program. You have a computer in front of you. Referee comes up and says, goal by Binghamton, 17-23-4. Right? And they enter it in with the time, and there you go. 17 being Tyson Kirkby, CJ Stubbs was the primary assistant, and then Dakota Bond would be that. And, you would just know if it was a power play goal or not, or maybe not. Without the live stats, we don't know the assists for the goals, but the Brooks was doing a great job getting us times and goals on the goals and the penalties. The Black Bears were showing they were showing a lot of good energy for playing their third game in 3 nights. Always tough for any team. Emerson got his first goal of the season, the first goal for the Black Bears early in the period, but then Dakota Bond scored his 4th power play goal of the season, and I think he's got like 5 or 6 goals, and 4 of them are on the power play. Black Bears had a great 2-on-1 chance with 2 minutes left to go in the period, but could not get a good shot on the Venom netminder. By the looks of the video of the crowd shots, the Venom seemed to have a decent turnout, likely more than anything the team got in Newburgh. Okay, Brooks did indicate that we will not get the shots on goal due to they don't report them in the rink. Apparently, they didn't have. Like, I'm so used to it. And with the college team playing there, I'm surprised there's not a spot where they put up the shots. So the people in the arena didn't know what the official shots on goal was, which is just crazy. Now, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon is when they started updating the live stats. And I thought, okay, great. Well, they're updating them. In the first period, they got them all right. But the shots on goal in the first period, according to the Fed website now, is Binghamton 9, the hockey club Venom 4. Okay, so it just was frustrating because as a credentialed media member myself, somebody who's trying to be able to report properly, and we'll talk about this after we get through the game, okay, because this is important. Second period, the Venom came out on the first intermission with some renewed energy and got their first goal in the new home rink off the stick of former Black Bear Jonas Lees, just 1:27 into the middle period. Again, Jonas Lees, another guy. Brant Sherwood brought into this league. Okay, so the Venom scored their second goal of the period off the stick of Connor Craig, not in this game at 2 goals apiece. And I'm thinking to myself right there, I was like, whoa, what's going on here? But then, you got to love this, right? The Black Bears get the lead back as Austin Thompson breaks another tie, scoring his 19th goal of the season while up on the man advantage, making this a 3-2 game. Now, in the second period, this is where it kind of got a little freaking crazy, right? Because there were so many penalties and whatnot. CJ Stubbs got the win knocked out of him and had to be attended to at the 3:40 mark of the period. Obviously, he was fine because he played later on, and of course he went to Reading. The second period got much more chippy between the two teams. There was a lot of trips to the penalty box and to the locker room. You cannot expect the Black Bears to be perfect or be mistake-free and a full of ton of energy, even though I really do feel like they played as hard as anybody did in that game after playing 3 games in 3 nights. Lots of penalties in the second period, but one that stands out was the 5-minute major for spearing for Chris Mott, putting the Black Bears down for an extended penalty kill. Now, of course, as we all saw today, it came through the wire. He's going to be suspended for 1 game for spearing. I didn't see it because I can't see it on the thing, so I don't know, but I just had to take the word of the referees here. I don't think the referees did a horrible job in this game, to be honest with you. This is 3 games and 3 nights for Binghamton. This is also 7 days since the last time the Venom played, so things are going to get a little sloppy every once in a while. And I know Chris Mott, he's not the type of guy to do something dangerous, so 1 game suspension is probably fine. Lester Brown, who also got a 1-game suspension for his actions in the game after taking a tripping call, just drops the gloves and starts to punch Scott Ramaker. So he trips Scott Ramakers, and then he gets up and he drops his gloves and just starts punching Ramakers. Now, he got a 5-minute major for fighting as well. So he got the 2-minute for tripping, 5-minute major, right? Because I wrote this down. And then he gets a 10-minute game misconduct for aggressor, which they took the tripping off the penalty sheet. But we'll get to that. Kyle Steffen collided with the post late in the second period with 41 seconds left to go. He went down hard. and went right to the locker room. There was a hard collision into the post, without a doubt. The Black Bears should start the third period with a little bit more than 5 minutes on the power play due to the Lester Brown incident that happened at 18:36. The second period got ugly. Nothing more to say about that, really. The Black Bears going into the second intermission have a 3-2 lead, but the status of Kyle Stefan wouldn't be known until they came back out in the third period. Shots on goal in the second period: Binghamton 10, HC Venom 13. Totals was Binghamton 19, HC Venom 17. I don't even know if that's accurate because, again, I think the second period stats was completely trash. It just was. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a dick about this. I'm not. But this is the thing that drives me the most bonkers in this league, which is you got to get this stuff right. You got to get it right. And even if you couldn't get it right until the end of the game, you still should have gotten it right. There are 3 power play goals not being accounted for 3 Black Bears. And again, it affects things. It's legit. If you want to be a pro hockey league, you need to do pro hockey league things, which is get the stats right. While the Venom were killing the Lester Brown 5-minute major for fighting, Dan Stone scored his 4th goal of the season, giving the Black Bears a 4-2 lead. Just as Brown penalty ended, Austin Thompson scored his 2nd goal of the game, pushing their lead to 5-2. Zach Sirota did not want to be left out again. Another late game goal for Zach Sirota as he scored the Black Bears' 6th goal of the game right at the middle point of the period, giving the Black Bears a 4-goal cushion, which they obviously won the game 6-2. The Black Bears notes: Kyle Stefan did return for the Black Bears in the third period, so obviously that was a great thing. The Black Bears started the period on a 5-minute, 36-second power play thanks to Lester Brown. Dan Stone scored a goal on the power play, also had 3 assists, meaning he's factored in on the first 4 goals of the game, which he did. The third period was a quieter period, thank God. Though both teams were not able to stay out of the penalty box, they still went there, just not as much as the second period. Not sure how many penalties minutes Jesso had truly in the game, as the game live stats are about as messed up as anything can be. The Black Bears did score 3 times on the power play. However, the league and the Venom's off-ice officials decided to not credit the Black Bears with the man-up advantage goals, and they did not change it. They did change the attendance, but they did not change that. Either way, the Black Bears win their 5th game in a row. The Black Bears are now 26-4-1. They collected all 9 points this weekend and have the league's best points of 74. Now, the shots on goal for Binghamton in that period was 8 and HC Venom 4. The totals were Binghamton 27 and HC Venom 21. Now, I'm going to go right into this. Why should we care about the integrity of the game, missing 3 power play goals from stats, improper penalty stats, and underreporting attendance at Sunday's Venom game? Now, they reported initially 200 fans were there. If you looked at the video, if you looked at the pictures that fans put out there, and thank you for doing that, fans, it's good to know, then they changed it sometime in the evening time to 586, but they couldn't change the power play goals. They couldn't fix the penalties. And you're telling me that somebody wasn't writing those down, somebody wasn't keeping track, and nobody knew that those were power plays? I even talked to Brooks Hill today about it, going, hey, can we walk through which ones were the 3 power play goals? I was right on the ones that I thought I was, and so was Brooks as well. Now, I'm not putting Brooks into this. This is me. Why should we care about the integrity of the game? Well, the integrity of the game means that you're reporting information correctly. All right. And yes, I know it's single A hockey, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? I covered the AHL. I never saw this kind of ineptitude ever. And I'm not blaming MJ Merkel. I'm not blaming Parker Moskal. So you know what? If the two of you get pissed off for me hearing me say this, too bad. Guess what? Something else should have been done. There should have been a better preparedness by the league. The league. Yes, the league. Don't tell me it's just about the teams. This is about your image, the league. So executive board, whoever you are, This should have been addressed. This should have been taken care of. And don't lie to the fans. Don't lie to the media and say that you cannot change stuff that's already been finalized when you did it with the attendance. And I've watched you do it last season with other games as well, changing things after the game has gone final. I call complete BS. And you know what? You, the fans, should be angry about this too. Why? Because it's a slap in the face to the players that you support. You pay money to the ownership group, which then employs the executive board. And so you should be angry about this. This should not be something that should, 15 years into a league being in existence, still be a problem. It's sad. It's really sad. All right. Stubbs gets the call up to the Reading Royals. This is something I wanted to touch more upon today on the Power Play Post Show. But a strong relationship this season is building between Brant Sherwood and Jason Brinkley of the Royals. He is their head coach. There's now a trust that Brinkley can call Sherwood and get a quality player who will not hurt the team but help. This, in part, is a big part of the work that Tyson Kirkby has done and put in up there in the conversations between these two head coaches. Though there was no former affiliation with ECHL to SPHL or Fed teams, building the trust in relationships like we are seeing now between the Black Bears and the Royals is great for everyone involved. Most importantly, this is great for the players who get to showcase their abilities. This will be CJ Stubbs' 5th game in the ECHL. He previously played with the Norfolk Admirals in 2019 and 2020. Tyson Kirkby has now played in 4 games up with the Royals because he did play earlier today, obviously, as they played the Jacksonville Icemen, and honestly has done everything that everyone in the Fed, the Black Bears, and anywhere in single A hockey needed him to do. Prove that there are excellent programs here that players are ready and prepared to play, not just from the SPHL, but in the ECHL. Proof of this preparedness is the fact that the Black Bears, without Tyson Kirkby, still took 9 points this weekend and outscored their opponents 16-7. And let's also be perfectly clear. Tyson scored 2 goals up there. He's proven that, first of all, if you allow Tyson Kirkby to be in his workshop, which is between the hash marks and right in front of the goaltender, he's going to score goals. He can score those greasy ones. He can score those dirty goals, if you want to call them that. But he can do it. And he has a good wrister. He has the ability to think very quickly about where he wants the puck to go so he can find those little cracks and crevices that he can squeak the puck through. And he does a very good job at that. And this is just a great thing. I mean, right now you have both you had CJ Stubbs, who probably is the most qualified other than Tyson Kirkby and Donald Oliveri to go up there. And those are the 3 guys that have made the trip to the ECHL from the Binghamton Black Bears. And again, folks, I'm not underestimating. I'm not overstating this. I'm not understating this. I'm stating this exactly where it should be. This is important for the Black Bears, the players that play for the Black Bears, and for the league, that this has kind of happened now in the last month or so for the Black Bears and those players. So, pretty good thing. I know I went off a little bit on a rant about the thing, and it's funny too because I know MJ Merkel understands how important it is because they put out they need to hire off-ice officials. They had one guy doing it, and he just couldn't do it. And I'm not blaming him. What I'm blaming is the system afterwards. The system afterwards was fix that information. Fix it. Don't just rush everybody home because of snow, right? We're big boys. We're big boys and girls. We can drive in the snow. This is New York. This is not freaking Columbus, Georgia, where if they get the snow, everybody is like freaking out. My aunt lives in Dallas, Texas. They get like a quarter inch of ice, and everybody's freaking out. This is not that. This is upstate New York. You don't have to rush home. Just take care of it. Make it look good. Get it right. Get the 3 power play goals. back to there. Get the attendance where it should be. 536, I don't know. I still think that's low. That's just my opinion. But whatever. The Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you want to listen to Bob rant about his podcast or about hockey. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook and search for the Power Play Post Show. You can also search for PPP Show Bob. Join that page. It's a page. It's an actual page. And I'll be providing information about my photography and, of course, the Power Play Post Show on there. Check out binghamtonhockey.net and all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. Thank you very much to Rob Polis, our MC, John Petitucci, our musical director, and, of course, Gary Ryan of the Fed League Flash. He wasn't on this week. No, just kidding. 6 more questions with Khade Henry. Thanks, Khade, for coming on and doing that. And we'll talk to you next time. I am Bob Howard. We'll talk to you next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Petitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.